Super Mario Brothers. Super Mario Brothers.
Super Mario Brothers! Not the arcade game, the platformer game. So, in America, it came out. A lot of people liked it. They told their friends that they liked it, so their friends went and liked it. And who would have thought a lot of people ended up liking it? What a great game.
Everyone in the world went out and went, I need a Nintendo.
It came out at a pretty interesting time. I mean, there wasn't anything quite like it. And it just exploded out of the gate. It was unique, it was different, it was fun.
I'm just going to start off here. Here's my fucking beef. Mario, an Italian plumber with a paedophile's moustache, is addicted to A-class mushrooms, running round people's houses, fucking up their plumbing, because he's too busy kicking turtles and trying to save the magical princess, who, let's face it, never once boned him. Utterly friendzone.
There's this princess, and you've got to go on this great quest, and you've got your brother, which doesn't appear unless you have two-player.
You're running through all these different worlds, beating up on unsuspecting turtles by jumping on their heads, and stealing their savings out of their piggy banks. The game teaches you good, wholesome values.
What a great, fantastic game, with horrible, slippy controls, which everyone always seems to overlook, but I didn't, I just said it then. Horrible, slippy controls.
They're not bad. There's definitely another Mario game that I would probably consider better in the controls department.
Horrible, slippy controls.
Basically, Mario 1, Princess gets kidnapped by the Uber Turtle, known as, I forget his name, Bowser. Bowser, yeah. Just walked into Mario's house. He was like, look, you haven't paid me. I'm taking this.
It's such an easy game to just pick up and play. Like, even if you've never played a game before, it's just really intuitive and everything's set out in such a way. Like, the first level is laid out in the perfect way for you to get used to the controls and find out what you need to do. You know, like the pipes being just that bit high as for you to have to learn how to use the run button. There's no instructions, no tutorials, just figure it out by pressing buttons. Beautiful. Elegant. Elegant. So there's quite a few different types of levels. I mean, you've got the standard overworlds, the underground stages, there's a few nighttime stages, which is quite interesting. You've got the underwater stages. My favourite stages are probably the ones where you're running across the bridge with the kamikaze cheap-cheeps coming after you.
But then you've got like the lost levels, the uber Japanese, too hard, too fast, too furious, impossible game. It is literally, you can't finish it. I can see why they were lost. They should have been put through a shredder and destroyed forever.
Then you had the power-ups. The power-ups are quite limited, but the first time you take mushrooms and you grow really big, brilliant gameplay mechanic, encouraging little children to take drugs and smash bricks with your head. The firepower, shooting fireballs was epic.
Occasionally you find a gold star that makes you go like you've fucking taken acid at a Goldie Looking Chain show.
That music would kick in.
You get to the end, you climb up some dairy milks, you jump off, you grab the flag, slide down and go into a miniature castle. What's inside that castle? Is it his dealer's house? It must be. I reckon that's why you have to sit outside in the car for 20 minutes, while he's in there testing the merchandise.
So, there's enemies.
If you want to call them enemies, I mean, most of them seem to be just minding their own business before Mario comes and stomps on them.
Koopas, Goombas.
Those fucking bloopers did my head in underwater. You could never quite tell which way they were going to go.
With the Hammer Brothers.
Absolute douchebags.
Hammer Town.
Bullet Bill.
And the piranhas that kind of come out. And it's a great range of enemies.
I think the worst one was the Kitu. prick in the clouds who throws spinies down onto you. It was okay though, because you could get your revenge. If you timed it right, you could actually jump on his head and kill him. Fuck you. Bowser was the main villain, or King Koopa, if you will. Not particularly difficult, and you could literally just jump over his head or run underneath him if you're feeling cocky enough. But then in the later worlds, he starts throwing hammers at you. Takes the mick, really. And every time you finish the level, you meet up with Toad, and you pull that bullshit of,
Your princess is in another castle.
Toad is a cocksucker.
Oh, by the way, the princess is out, but thanks for popping in anyway.
So, if you're like me, you probably used the warp zones.
You found out you could break the bricks at the top of the screen. And then you find out that you can run across the top in front of the scoreboard. Crazy stuff. And if you kept going right to the end, and you find that secret area with the warp zones that lets you skip to different worlds. Brilliant.
Is it cheating? It's in the game. I'm not gonna judge.
In a game where you can't save, the warp zones was a really cool idea. If you wanted to just try out different worlds or skip ahead for the sake of time.
Everyone knows the Mario Brothers games. Like, even little children these days who don't even know what an NES is, they've still played some Mario games. How astounding is that?
New players, veteran, anyone can jump in and play it. Yeah, 30 years later and the series is still going strong. We love you, Mario.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Today's episode of Remembering is sponsored today by Jim Beam Honey. For your remembering choice, the day after.